So, I normally don't cover Dow Jones news on this show. I've talked in the past about how Dow Jones really just shows how the 1% are doing. However, I'd like to point out that that's the standard Donald Trump loves using. You can see it on Twitter every day. He goes there's like, why the Dow Jones? Oh, it's just going up. It just keeps on going up. It just keeps on going up because in my policy, it's breaking one record after another. Well, he signed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and in his recent State of the Union, talked about how great it would be for Wall Street, and how the wealth is going to trickle down to us eventually, like it did in the last 4 times now. Wait, no, let me think. There was Calvin Coolidge, there was Ronald Reagan, and then there was George W. 3 times, the 4th time. And every time it's failed because this isn't even really neoclassical economics, because neoclassical economics involves lifting the economic burden off of everyone. This is this weird combination of classical and neoclassical economics. It just doesn't make any sense. It's just illogical. And the idea of trickle-down economics does not work, even for the 1%. Here's the news. It's from CNN Money. Apparently, the Dow Jones dropped over 1,000 points today. That's essentially the last month of growth just gone like that. I can snap. I never realized that. Stocks went into free fall on Monday, and the Dow plunged almost 1,600 points, easily the biggest point decline in history during a trading day. So again, we do this, and it starts failing. Buyers charged back in and limited the damage, but at the closing bell, the Dow was still down 1,175 points, by far its worst closing point decline on record. Now, may I remind you, by the way, under Obama, we didn't see these crashes very often. It was typically growth. It was slow growth, mind you, but it was slow, steady growth. You know, if you look at stocks under the Obama era, it was typically just a straight line up. Look at it now, it starts off a really steep line, and then it just plummets. And this may be the crash that I've been warning you about. I've been warning you about, Tom Hartman's been warning you about, Kyle Kalinski's been warning you about, and all these people just can't seem to figure it out. The drop amounted to 4.6%, the biggest decline since August 2011 during the European debt crisis. But it was nowhere close to the destruction on Black Monday in 1987 under Reagan, or the financial crisis of 2008 under George W. Bush, both of which Republican presidents. So I'm starting to notice something, and this isn't a partisan statement to make, by the way, but it's that there are typically less economic crashes under Democrats. You ever notice that? I mean, Reagan had to deal with the savings and loans crash, and to be fair, the economy he did inherit from Carter was awful. Carter was extremely ineffective, and Carter kind of wore his ineffectiveness on his sleeves to his own demise. I always put the wear a sweater comment as the moment his is probably one of the moments his presidency died. I think the exact moment was when he started going on his huge rant against selfishness and materialism, when meanwhile Reagan's whole message was, no, that's fine, and you're good if you do that. In fact, you should do that more. And people don't want to change it. That's another rant for another day. And yeah, and George H.W. Bush had to deal with most of the savings and loans crash. And then Bill Clinton, it was pretty stable throughout most of his presidency. The dot-com bubble did burst near the end of 2000, near the end of '99, and sort of receded through 2000. But George W. Bush had absolutely nothing to help with it. If anything, he put it in overdrive when you saw the Great Recession. And then you look under Obama, it was slow but steady growth. Okay, let's continue. And the rout in the U.S. market continued to ripple around the globe. Japan's Nikkei index plunged 4% in Tuesday's morning trade, while the S&P ASX 200 in Australia dropped 3%. The White House said in a statement that President Trump was forced on our long-term economic fundamentals which remain exceptionally strong. The statement cited strengthening economic growth, low unemployment, and increased wages in workers. That's not even true, by the way. We'll cover... There was a story, by the way. If there was so much growth, why is it that all these bonuses are also from companies that are firing a huge amount of people? We've covered stories like that. Paul Ryan was bragging that this woman was getting an extra $1.50 to her paycheck. That's less than a nickel an hour if you work 40 hours a week. The trouble in the market began early last week when investors focused on a number of lingering concerns. The economy gets much stronger. It could touch off inflation, which has been mysteriously missing for 9 years of the post-crisis recovery. Of course. Of course. That's what we need, more economic recovery. We need more inflation. Just give me a break. Now look, I believe inflation is a natural part of economic growth. But I believe if we can mitigate it as much as possible, we should be doing that. That could force the Federal Reserve to raise interest rates faster than planned. This is from Bruce McCain. Not John McCain, Bruce McCain. People are dealing with the stocks of seeing real inflation for the first time in a while. And just coincidentally, it happens after low taxes, deregulation, the same things I predicted. Because it's not hard to predict. Let me tell you, you don't need to be a master in economics to figure this stuff out. The sellout wiped out the Dow and SP 500 gains for the year. And left NASDAQ, I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry, barely in positive territory for 2018, so just wiped out an entire year of growth. Bravo, trickle down.